I'm Amanda's mom, and my name is Jeanne, and it's nice to be talking with you kids. Well, this is our chicken house, and this is where the chickens go at nighttime because we can close it all up and no other animals can come in, and that keeps them safe even in the dark night when some of the predators are around. Come on in and see. Here in the front entry, we keep the chickens' food. This is a big barrel of food that we use to fill up their feeder dish. And this is where we keep Scratch that they really love. It's kind of their treat. And here, this is where the chickens hang out. And this is a big bucket that has food in, and they can reach that bottom tray and eat their food. This is a container of water. It has a little heater thing underneath so that in the wintertime it doesn't freeze. And every day or a day and a half, we clean it out and put in fresh water. Now over there, there's a wooden box that holds some grit, and it's mixed with oyster shell. And those two things, the grit, which is kind of really fine stone, and the oyster shell helps them with their digestion. And then the oyster shell gives them calcium so that the eggs that they lay have nice strong shells. At night, most of them are sitting on those roosts, but sometimes some of them decide to spend some time out down on the floor, which is all full of nice pine chips. There's a little shelf over there. That's another little place if one or two of them want to be kind of by themselves. What you see here is a lamp that in the wintertime we turn on and helps to keep them warm. And the rope thing over here, in the winter on cold days and they can't go outside because it's just so nasty, sometimes we put a cabbage in here and they get to peck at it and have fun. It swings all around and they get to eat cabbage, and they love that. These are called nest boxes. And a couple of the hens are sitting there because they are wanting to lay their eggs. A hen will come in this nice little quiet dark place and lay an egg. And then later on in the day, I'm going to come and pick the eggs up. There's 3 eggs there. More hens and another egg. Well, most of the time, the chickens love to be outside, and this is what we call their outside run. And it's fenced off, so dogs and other bigger critters aren't going to come in. They run around here all day. All the time that the daylight is with us, the chickens like to be outside. And they have a large area, so they're back and forth and finding bugs and pecking at little seeds that fall on the ground and enjoying finding food for themselves. That's their very favorite thing to do. So I understand you sent some questions about chickens. Oh, well, these chickens, when they're out and about like this, they are eating all day long with whatever they find, except for a lot of times they take a nap in the afternoon. The feed that we give them is available to them all the time. It's in their house, so it doesn't get rained on, and they can eat whenever they feel like it. But what I have in my hand is a special treat for the chickens. It's called Scratch. It's a group of special grains and seeds that they really like, and so every day they get to have some scratch just because it's a treat for them. But we can't give them too much. It's kind of like candy. It's a special treat and they love it and they share it and it gets them all excited. So scratch is fun. Oh, chickens can live up to be about 9 or 10 years old, I'm told. We don't have any that are that old, but they can live for a long time. Well, we have never hatched chickens from eggs, but what I understand is the people that do that, if they want to see what's going on inside the egg before a chick is hatched, will hold it up to a very bright light, and the light can go through the egg somewhat and you can see the chick inside, and that's called candling. It used to be done by holding the egg up to a candle and using the light from the flame, but nowadays they just use a very bright light and candle the egg, and you can see whether the chick is in there, and it might be moving a little bit and maybe see a heartbeat. Well, again, I'm going to tell you what I'm guessing about that because I've never done it. But I'm wondering if a chick is having a hard time hatching out of an egg, how healthy that chick is. I'm wondering if it's not strong enough to make it once it gets out of that shell. So I can see how it might be a good thing to help that chick get out of the shell, but it might not be a very strong and healthy chick to begin with. So I would have to, if I was in that situation, I would watch that chick really carefully. Oh, I think that's kind of hard unless you're an expert. Right away when they first come out of the egg, an expert can examine the chicken and they look at their little behind and tell whether it's a girl chick or a boy chick. I don't know how to do that. So after our chickens grow for about 3 or 4 months, they start to look a little bit different depending on if they're a girl chicken or a boy chicken. The boy chickens get a bigger comb, they get a big wattle, they get a big rooster tail. Yeah, and you can also see on his legs, he's got an extra little thing that looks like a toe coming out the side. And that's a spur. Only roosters have those spurs. The hens will get a bigger comb and a little bit bigger wattle, but not as big as the roosters. So that's one thing that helps tell whether a chicken is going to be a grown-up hen or a grown-up rooster. Well, the wattles on a chicken are very interesting because I don't know what they're used for. I don't see them being used per se, but I do know that they are somewhat of a signal to the other chicks and other chickens, because a chick grows up before it really develops wattles. But it's probably a sign that I'm growing up. I am grown up. I'm a girl chicken or I'm a boy chicken. I'm a hen or a rooster. And so I think that's how the wattles are useful to the chickens, to show gender and stage of development. Well, I think it's hard to know all the things that are going on with the chicken because they can't tell you that they don't feel good. But what I do is I look at the chicken I observe its behavior. If it's up and moving around and pecking at things and having a good time, that's a good sign that it's having a good day and it's feeling fine. If its behavior is different, if it's not getting up and playing with the other chickens, if it's has diarrhea, which you can observe, if it's doesn't have bright eyes, isn't paying attention to you, maybe isn't even talking back to you, those are signs that maybe this chicken isn't feeling good. And a few times we've had chickens that have been hurt by attacks from other animals. Occasionally an animal will get into their pen and hurt them, and that's usually pretty obvious. So it's hard to know, because like other animals, they can't tell you they don't feel good. But when you know your chickens, you can kind of know when they aren't feeling well just by seeing how they are. So if there's a chick or a chicken that isn't feeling well or is obviously injured, sometimes the first thing that I do is separate it from the other chickens for a couple reasons. Sometimes one that isn't doing really well might get picked on by the others. And that's kind of how chickens behave. So we want to keep it isolated so it doesn't have the stress of having to deal with chickens that are pushing it around and being mean. I would also, when I separate it, I can keep track of if it's eating and if it's drinking water. If it has an obvious injury, a broken skin like an abrasion or a cut, we have a special chicken antibiotic stuff, spray. It comes in a spray can. And because the chickens, if they saw a red cut in the skin, or if they saw blood, red makes them get all excited and they start to peck at it. This particular medicine that we put on is purple, and that means that the other chickens are gonna leave it alone. But if there's an injury breaking the skin, we'll put that purple medicine on a couple times a day. And other than that, we just hope that the chicken will get better. I don't have any fancy ways of telling exactly what might be causing the problem for the chicken. And so we try to relieve its stress, try to give it good conditions. If it's during the winter and it's really cold, we might bring it in where it's warmer. And then we hope that it'll just kind of get better on its own.
So this chicken is missing some feathers, and this is part of health care for this chicken.
Yes.
Is a jacket. And you sew these jackets yourself?
I do. Some people do, and then you can buy them either made like commercially, or people make them and sell them on Etsy.
How often do you bring a chicken into the sewing room?
You know, I don't think I've ever brought a chicken upstairs. But they come in the house sometimes if they need any special care. Usually they're just out with themselves, and that's where they're happiest, is with their bunch. You know, they kind of stay all together in a big bunch for the most part. And so I think that's where they're the happiest, is with their buddies. Oh, look at there. Okay.
And that's sleeves that you're putting on its wings.
Yeah. The next jacket I'm going to make, I made this one because when the only piece of fleece I happened to have at home was this pink, and sometimes red and pink aren't the best colors because the chickens kind of peck at things that are red.
an egg? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well,
I picked her up off the nest to bring her in. So she just popped that egg out. There. Look at that.
wow.
See?
It's a good looking chicken coat.
Oh, good looking chicken coat. I wasn't there when that happened, so I don't know. But I know that humans and animals have lived side by side for many, many, many thousands of years. And often animals get something from becoming domesticated. They get a safe home. They maybe get a more steady source of food. And they're more able to have babies and reproduce. Humans get companionship. They get a source of food as well. We and others are glad to have chickens around because we get manure that helps us with our garden. We have less insects around because the chickens eat them. And so it's a partnership, and I'm assuming that that's how it came about in the first place. Thank you, and have fun with your chicks.